Okay. Good evening. The Design Review Board number 2 public meeting of April 22nd, 2010 is called to order. Refrain from talking amongst yourselves and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phone and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case or speak on any item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available by calling our Design Review Board hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the Design Review Board decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his or her discretion. Roll call, Board Member Balanian.
Yes.
Board Member Garagos.
Here.
Board Member Malikian. Here. Board Member Sakai is absent, and Board Member Zarifian is also absent. Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on April 15th, 2010. Next item is oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. I have no oral communication cards. Chairman Garagos?
Is there anybody who'd like to speak on this any other topic other than what's agendized?
None? All right. Which brings us to the review calendar. At this point in time, there are no let the record show that Ms. Sakai joined us.
Fashionably late.
There are no staff announcements. There are no items under the consent calendar. So at this point in time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Chairman Garagos to continue with the regular agenda for Design Review Board.
Great. Thank you very much. Welcome all. We are going to proceed with 1430 Wabasso Way, which is 2 PDR 2010-008-A. Take it away.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm going to approach the board as I give my presentation. Once again, this application is located at 1430 Wabasso Way. The project is to propose a new 4-car detached garage, which is 1,250 square feet in size. Right over here, the existing property is approximately 48,920 square feet and is irregular in shape. Currently, there is a 1,925 square foot single-family residence existing at the rear, also with a detached 2-car garage, which is approximately 750 square feet in size. Generally, the lot slopes upwards, but as you can tell from the section drawing provided by the applicant, it does slope downwards in the beginning, but it does slope upwards overall. The zoning for this property is R1R, restricted residential, Florida District 2. There are 14 coast live oaks and 1 California sycamore located or within 20 feet of the property. There are 2 California live oaks proposed to be removed. However, mitigation measures have been reviewed by the urban forester, in which a 2-to-1 ratio to replace those trees have been conditioned. The surrounding neighborhood of the property is all zoned R1R with single-family residences. Typically, for the detached garages are exempt from design review. However, the location of this 1,256 square foot garage directly faces the street and potentially could affect the site planning, the mass and scale, and the rhythm of the streetscape. Therefore, it required design review. On to site planning. Once again, the existing single-family residence and the detached garage is located at the rear and will remain unchanged. The new 4-car garage will be located at the front and will be closer to the street and will be more consistent with the other properties in the area. A new concrete driveway extension will be proposed with the existing black asphalt driveway, which leads to this 2-car garage at the rear. As a consideration, staff had put in its conditions as a consideration to have the new driveway extension to be of a permeable material so the water can percolate and allow the storm water to go into the ground. However, the applicant has mentioned of drainage concerns have been raised as water can potentially flow towards the proposed garage, and he can further go into this. On to massive scale, the four-car garage will be constructed in a single level. The overall height will be 15 feet and will mimic the massing of the existing single-family residence. Therefore, the massing of the new car garage and the single-family residence will complement each other in massing and will complement the rhythm of the existing streetscape. Onto the building design in detail. The existing style of the existing single-family residence exhibits within the photos over here, and there's a couple behind there, is of a Spanish colonial revival home. The defining characteristics have been replicated of the existing home onto the new detached garage, which include half-barrel tile and smooth trowel stucco. A gable roof design has been incorporated to maintain its consistency with the main structure. The garage has been designed with a sectional two-car garage. Although the existing two-car garage does have a one-piece, the material for this has not been identified, but however, staff has recommended within its conditions that a quality wood material, so it can be painted to match, should be implemented. Also, the elevations have intentionally been designed without any, which is smooth trowel stucco only because the garage, the intent and the functionality of the garage is for antique or I guess classic cars, and the applicant would like to control the climate and kind of control, I guess, the temperatures inside there. However, staff has recommended within its conditions as a consideration to incorporate niches or windows to overall enhance the design of the project. On to staff's recommendation, overall staff recommends approval with the following conditions. One, the quality of the wood garage door should be utilized to match the texture of the existing two-car garage and will allow the opportunity for the garage door to be painted with matching colors. Two, as a consideration, staff recommends the applicant to incorporate tile niches or windows at the north and south elevation to enhance appeal. Three, as a consideration, the new driveway extension should be constructed of permeable material. And four, the four new 5-gallon oak trees shall be planted to the satisfaction of the urban forestry. This concludes staff's presentation, and the applicant's available in the audience. Questions?
Great job.
Sure.
The area drain that's existing on the driveway, is that supposed to pick up all the water from the new concrete driveway?
I'm sorry.
The area drains just to the right, lower,
Right.
right,
To the right?
lower.
Lower.
To the left?
Would you mind, can you show me, please?
We're so close.
Oh, are you, okay.
The area drain, is that just drain the street, or does it go into the sewer line?
I'm untoo sure. I know that,
There's a sewer easement that goes through that property that's...
the catch basin right here.
And there's a sewer easement that goes through here. Do you know if this connects up with the sewer or if it goes up to the street?
I'm unaware of where it may drain. Perhaps the applicant may be able to.
And any consideration for hazardous materials going into the drainage because of...
I'm sorry, we can't hear what you're
I'd like-
saying, so if you don't mind.
I have a question about the hazardous materials going into the drains because the activity in the garage is supposed to be for automobile activity.
Well, as the applicant has mentioned within the application, it would be minor. It wouldn't be a major automobile reconstruction or anything like that. It'd be kind of minor
So there would
upkeep.
have been their
That's correct.
limits. Okay.
Any questions for staff? No. Thank you, Mr. Joe. Excellent. Bob? I just have one card. Richard Dell. State your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. Richard Dell, Maple Dell McClellan Architects in Pasadena. We're the architects for the project and the owner's rep. Here to answer questions regarding drainage or anything else that you might have regarding the project. We appreciate the time and energy looking at the project. However, I would like to, with your concurrence, deal with the conditions of approval.
Sure.
Would that be appropriate at this point in time, or would you have other questions before?
I'll tell you, since she asked the question, if you could address that one drainage question, then go on to the conditions, would be great.
Are we talking about drainage within the garage or drainage around the site comprising of the site runoff?
Right, because staff was concerned about the amount of paving, the new paving that's being added, and suggesting they use permeable paving. So I'm wondering where all that runoff is going to go.
Currently, as you pointed out, there is an area drain that's collecting the water from the hillside that's on the west of the property. It's a big bowl, and everything drains down there right now. That area drain then goes underneath the driveway and daylights out with a pipe and drains into the bowl that we're putting the garage in right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. So then you're saying, so this area is where the area drain goes into?
Right now, it goes underneath the driveway and dumps right there at this, right.
Giant bowl and then goes into the ground.
And it goes into the ground, precisely.
Also, it's going to go into the trench drains that are at the garage doors?
There is a trench drain in front of the garage door to catch all the water that will drain towards the garage, trying to keep the site down, the height of the building down, so we slope the driveway slightly to get a drain to it. But there won't be, this garage is really used for storage for automobiles, not for maintenance and not for building cars. It's a regular garage. It's a store for of his automobiles.
Okay. So then we can go back to the drainage. Now you're saying that that bowl, since they're taking up you're paving over the bowl, the drainage is going to go...
Right, and we're taking that drainage and we're realigning the pipe and taking it out around the side of the building to get back to natural grade. And on the east side of the property, you'll notice there is a concrete apron and another area drain that collects the whole area water for the entire bowl. Everything drains to the east property line. If you look at the property line, you'll see an improved concrete apron with the drain that goes out and shoots out into the street at a lower elevation. So the entire bowl of that area, we're trying not to change the natural drainage of the area and let that water come around the building naturally, let it percolate where it can, and go into that area drain and the apron on the east side of the property. One of the conditions of approval deals with the recommendation of permeable concrete. We bounced that off our structural engineer and our soils engineer. Their concerns are that we're basically building a bathtub, building a retaining wall, filling up with dirt, and building the building on top of it. If that permeable concrete is there and that water is able to penetrate through that and then take the topography, it's going to wind up collecting underneath the garage. What we're trying not to do is basically build retaining walls on the side, and you can see there on the perimeter of the garage, we've built a bathtub that water is going to retain itself in there. And they're concerned about the percolation, not percolation so much, but this is the surcharge from the water backing up, because it's a natural drainage way, that entire valley. And that's why that apron and the area drain has been installed to help drain that area, because it floods pretty quickly.
So actually, the drainage on the site now, you're just moving it to a different, the way it is currently, you're draining it to an area on site now.
Precisely.
Okay,
we're just directing it around the building
so you're
back
still,
to the natural drain.
Same amount of footage would be drained on site.
Precisely. And currently there is a badminton, AC paved badminton court that's there now. It's about 20 by 60. We're literally taking that out, about the same size as the building that we're proposing. So there's already a percolation issue that most of that water is not percolating because of the badminton court that's down there. We're pulling that out and basically replacing it with the building size.
Well, that's on a pad?
Sorry?
That's on a concrete, non-pervious pad.
It's on AC paving, right. It's there now, and you'll see that in the package on the survey. It shows it and calls it out. So we're basically trying to maintain and retain the natural drainage of the site. So as that water collects coming down the hill, goes across the driveway, trying to direct it, collect it, move it around the building, go back to natural pathways, and then get into that apron and go back out into that area drain, back out to the street.
Yeah. Okay. We're good on that? Okay, so you want to continue with the conditions?
That's the one condition. So we would hope that the board would take in consideration that our engineers are saying you probably don't want to collect that water underneath the building and let it build up because of that precise reason. At number, I believe that is number 2. Number 1 we agree with. Unfortunately, we didn't call that. We will match the wood doors, sectional doors, so they match the doors of the original garage. We'll certainly do that.
He was saying that wasn't sectional, though. Is that correct?
I did mention it was a sectional.
Was a
Staff was just
sectional. Okay.
recommending the material to be
Okay.
Yeah, we're
quality
proposing a
material.
sectional.
I thought
The
he
old
mentioned
ones
that it
are
wasn't
the-
sectional. Okay.
Yeah, the old ones, the old one-piece
Yeah.
heavy doors. So we're going to match it as best we can, but it will be sectional,
It will
so
be
it has
sectional.
less weight.
Okay.
I believe that's number 3. Number 4, we will the two protected trees that are coming out. They are 2 oak trees. Both are diseased, and we were originally going to keep them. The arborist came out and said, "You know what? These are really in bad shape. Need to pull them down." So it was their recommendation that they suggest that we take the trees out. We did that, and the condition for putting 4 more in, we'll certainly do that.
You're fine with that?
Certainly, we're happy with that. Let's see, in the windows. Our position on the windows is that it is a security issue. We're having the building not only as a sprinkler, but it's going to also be secured with alarms and things of that nature. We're trying not to put openings that can be opened easily without due consideration. If you look at the vernacular architecture of the existing building, they really don't have these type of embellishments. A very simplistic architectural colonial style architecture. And we'd hate to introduce new components that are not indicative of the house. We don't need the windows. Tile niches, they don't exist in the house right now. So we really emulated what was out there. So we're a little apprehensive to do that unless the board finds that that's necessary.
Big section of stucco, but no ideas for blind windows or something like that.
Well, not necessarily. And the reason for that is that even the north elevation, it's below the street level.
Below street level, yeah.
You're going to see the roof. You don't see the building. On the south side, it backs up into the hillside. You'll never see it. So we're doing this. I'm not quite sure why. So we're willing to discuss it further, but I don't think it's.
Sure.
We've added the additional gable out front to break the mast out.
Yeah.
To give a little more intimacy on the street. But again, from the street, you're going to see the roof.
Yeah.
You don't see the building.
Any questions for applicants?
2 quick questions.
The handrail matches the handrail that's on the building right now. In the house, as you go up to it, there's a handrail that goes to the front covered.
Oh,
Sure.
if you don't mind turning on your microphone? Sorry about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, the intent was to match whatever those elements are. We would match them
Okay,
precisely.
so
it looks as though it built the same era.
We'll make sure we note that. And then the second thing is that you have a split-face CMU block wall, whereas most of the retaining walls on the existing buildings either plastered or brick. Is there
There's actually an older slump stone, and you'll notice it on the front elevation of the house. Staff recommended that we actually put, where we do have a retaining situation, not in the building, but outside in the driveway, they recommended a split-face block.
is there a
related to
reason
that.
that we...
Is that the hillside issues with the retaining walls?
I mean, this is the condition that we have, and we're trying to match that, and we're going with the modern split-face block. So I'm just wondering, is there a code issue or something there that I'm not aware of?
Well, the code just basically says that retaining walls need to be of a decorative material. I think staff might have been fine with it. We might have just said something decorative, just like a split face. We didn't notice, or maybe perhaps we didn't get into the detail of
All right.
finishing it that way.
We'll just add a note.
Yeah.
And again, I think there's and you can notice on the front elevation, it slightly shows an older slump stones that they've
that's fine.
used in the corner of it.
Yeah, I just
And the green you're proposing is the green
Smaller.
of the elevation or the green of the existing house?
It's the green of the existing house.
Is it really?
Yeah, we're going to match it.
The green.
But that was the intent, is to precisely match it as best we can. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, I know.
It's unfortunate.
Interesting color.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for them?
no.
Anybody else who'd like to speak on this topic? Did you fill out a card? Did you? You can come up and fill out a card afterwards. Yes, thank you. If you could come up and then when you're done, fill out a card. State your name and address, please. State your name and address.
My name is Avatis Iskanian, and I'm a neighbor at 1440 Babaso, the next door. I overheard that a lot of efforts has been done to match the style and everything to the existing house. But there's something needs to be considered, that you cannot see the house from street. You cannot see it even from my house. You cannot see even this garage from the street, but this garage is about 20 feet away from my kitchen and my family room. I'm facing to that blind wall, 40-feet wall. Question is, architect? Has it been given thought about this? Next door, the house that we have on this property is building 47, I think. Next door house is building 92. It's much more modern. And this building is, blind wall is sitting next to my house. I don't know how is this feasible from point of view of...
There's a large setback, and it's set down below you also, so...
It's right on the same level as my house. My house is lower than the level of this garage. Garage is about 4 feet off the ground, I think. Right at the level of my kitchen and dining room, living room.
We don't have a plan
I don't have a neighbor's plan.
showing the house.
Property line that it shows that there's a retaining wall or some sort of a masonry wall. How far away is the
Besides
building?
my retaining wall, there is about 4 feet wall under the garage also. It raises the garage in order to level with the driveway.
I understand, but my question is, how far away is the building from the retaining wall? Which it's, according to the survey, it's right on the property line.
20 feet?
No, your building, where your building sits.
Probably
8 feet? Say about, okay. So from the retaining wall where the property line is, your building sits about 8 feet away.
Yes.
And I don't, can we?
You can't see it.
Okay, so this is your building? This is your,
Yes.
okay, so,
That's the garage place where they're going to put the black spot.
okay, that's where it's going. And the building is cut like this, correct? It's in an angle, and that's your,
Garage is by
And
the pool.
by the way, I'm the only person who's going to see this garage. Nobody else can see it.
So are those existing shrubs that are showing on the aerial, are they trees, are they shrubs, are they tall, are they short, are they blocking the smallish, or?
You have very mature trees.
The garage, it is-
It's not showing on their side plan,
You
that's
cannot extend next to the garage because the garage is in a way that nobody sees it.
They have a considerable front yard setback, but speaking for them.
Mr. Chair, the landscaping plan demonstrates, I believe, that there are sycamore and the coast oaks along that property line.
Yeah, it's not, the adjacent properties aren't shown on the site plan, within 20 feet.
I apologize. I just posted the neighborhood map that kind of shows the building lines up on the board.
Yeah, it looks like it's right on the line. I don't understand what the
Upper
setback.
wall.
Is it really 8 feet? Do we know that it's at 8 feet? Is it 8 feet? It is 8 feet?
You have mature trees. It's kind of it's pretty dark in there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, sir? If you don't mind filling this out, please.
I wish we had a plan that shows the house and the proposed.
okay, so
It's kind of hard.
the way it looks, this retaining wall, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to make some assumptions here, and this retaining wall, based on the elevations that we have, it's about 950 at the corner. That's what it says.
And then 953 at the other.
Yeah.
And 953 the other. Now, the finished surface of the garage,
952.
952.
The height of the wall.
so it's about 2 foot higher than this end. It's about a foot lower than this end.
Actually, they're showing it in section. Here's the wall,
Okay.
and here's
Let's look
here's
at the
the wood
section.
fence.
Alan, don't forget, it's about 30 feet away, and you have a lot of mature trees.
Well, these are the trees they're talking about.
But look in this picture, I mean, it looks
put
pretty
more in.
dense.
Well, it's only going down, not level. I don't understand that.
Yeah, the elevation looks fairly accurate.
Actually, this was a good elevation, north elevation.
Yeah.
That's the wall. You're slightly above it at that point.
How do you propose those windows? Make it
Well,
look-
unfortunately, we don't have the adjacent property on the site plan.
I think, anyway, I think
Normally in this situation, just to speak to the neighbor, the issue is that, that there isn't really a view protection, and in addition to the fact there's no window, so there's not an issue of privacy, so, and there is a 20-foot setback, which is considerable, so.
maybe they shouldn't do some windows to make it look, instead of looking at a straight wall,
Well, I would
propose
you can make
some
a,
windows
You can make a proposal, but I would rather do it in landscaping rather than
on the wall. Some combination.
Yeah, I don't know what the windows do. It's going to add privacy issue to the neighbor.
Well, it's a garage. I mean, it's not a...
I would rather see it be vegetation, but you guys make the motion. Any rebuttal to that, if you'd like to come in? Just for two, you want to give him 2 minutes if you could?
Yes.
Richard Dell again. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did take in consideration that rear elevation because it is down below the house. It's a 3-story house that's adjacent to us, and it is off the property line, I think 6 to 8 feet. We're 20 feet away. There is a retaining wall, and you can see through the photos it's about 4 feet above grade with a fence on top of that, and a great deal of landscaping is taking place. What I would suggest, in lieu of trying to add architecture that only one person might see, I would recommend perhaps, we've got to place the 4 trees anyway, the 4 replacement oaks. Let us place 2 of them back there to help buffer that elevation from a visual standpoint of view. Granted, they're only 15 gallons, so it's going to take a while to grow. But it just seems that there's a great deal of setback from this house. And again, it's a 3-story house that he's got that's kind of looking down on this property. He's correct. It's the only one that's going to be seen. But to put windows in and things of that nature, again, I guess we're trying to be altruistic about the architectural vernacular of the building, and putting elements that don't exist in the rest of the house wouldn't be our first choice, let's put it that way. But we would look at adding some land, putting maybe 3 of those trees along that back property line, or that east property line, to buffer it between the trees and between the 2 houses.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I would much rather see it as a landscape element. But,
Do you have any suggestions?
we'll close discussion if you guys are...
Well, I think if they put more shrubbery back there, because that will hide the building, and then the trees immediately, like 15-gallon hedge-type shrubs, and then the trees will grow up above that and give you another canopy, another layer of landscaping. And I think having the windows, it just kind of masks the building is more important than looking at somebody's windows as a facade.
How
That would be my recommendation.
windows on the north and south? Give us some kind, instead of looking like a little warehouse.
I sort of feel like it's better just to conceal it than to make it
combination.
a house. And the reason for having it is.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of too much wall.
Well, let's move
Well,
forward and
we
make a
could put a
motion.
trellis with the vines growing on it, or
Yeah.
you could do a lot of
plus
things to just
that,
kind of dress
plus-
it up.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the north and south, approaching to the site, probably you need some kind of window. I mean, make it look like it's a big structure. It's not a small two-car garage.
I think it'd be nice to have some vines or some more shrubbery in the sides on the north and south. Well, I guess the north, because it faces the road.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely like to see that.
Let's make a motion accordingly. Somebody make a motion.
Well, I'd also like to see more water retention on site, because I think that because of the sloping, you have a good opportunity to use the site as a water percolator. Like you were saying, how the water collects and it's like a lake, and then it goes slowly into the earth. And now you're trying to divert all that around the structure and then into the catchment basin that's on the east side of the property. If there's some opportunity to put in more retention basins, even if they're small, kind of little divot ponds on the site, to collect that water before it goes on into the catchment basin, to keep as much water on the site and percolating through, I think is better than trying to divert it all to get out of the site. Because if that drain clogs up, you're going to have a big problem. And I'd rather you not have to have that water standing around your building, have it get out of the way. So that'd be my recommendation.
If somebody wants to make a motion for that?
Okay, I move to approve the project as designed with staff's not consideration, but condition to match the garage door material so that it matches the existing house material, that the railings match the existing house, on-site retention basin drainage be considered and looked at, the urban forestry trees be located, two of them at least be located behind on the east side of the project, and then more shrubs, about 15-gallon, at least 8-foot-high shrubbery that urban forestry person can recommend, and site be located on the east side of the property, the east side of the project.
And omit 2? Do you want to omit it, condition 2?
And what was condition 2?
The niches.
Oh, yeah, and the niche, I don't think the niches are important.
I'll second that.
Motion and second?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the...
You did want to exclude 2, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, we're not going to go with the niches.
Will just become
and we're not
landscape
going
after
to not going to require them to do permeable material for the driveway extension.
So 2 and 3.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that was, so you...
Omit 2 and 3.
Omit 2
Omit
and
2
3,
and
but we're
3.
going to add
Okay.
the 15-gallon 8-foot shrubs. They could be any gallon size
Along the east side.
along the east side, and have the urban forestry division recommend and cite them.
Okay. I have the motion by, was it Board Member Blakey? Oh,
Sakai.
And
Sakai? I apologize. Okay, so I have a motion by Board Member Sakai and a second by Board Member Malakian to approve the project with staff's conditions, along with added conditions for the handrails. For the new detached garage shall match the handrails exhibited on the existing home. Added condition: the proposed detached garage shall be painted to match the colors of the existing home. Another added condition to include on-site retention basins to further collect water or storm water. And the last added condition: additional shrubbery along the east side at minimum 8 feet high to the satisfaction of the urban forester shall be included, with condition number 2 omitted. And this will be a motion.
2 and 3 omitted.
2 and 3 omitted.
And Dennis, if I may interject, I believe Ms. Sakai's motion also included that at least 2 of the oak trees be located on the east side of the property.
Correct.
4.
Okay.
East side of the structure.
East side of the structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this will be roll call. Board Member Baladian?
Yes.
Board Member Malakian?
Yes.
Board Member Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Chair Garagos?
Yes.
And I have a 4-0 vote with 1 absent to approve the project with the conditions.
Okay, we are going to move on. Pennsylvania. Okay, great. Okay, we are moving on to 2 PDR 2010-10-A,
Sharing your name.
5013 Verwood Avenue.
Good evening. Thank you,
Take it
Mr.
away.
Chair, members of the board. The next item on the agenda is DRB case number 2, PDR 2010-010-A, located at 013 Verwood Avenue. This is a first-time submittal for this project for final review, requesting an approval to add 352 square feet of living space and a 70 square foot entry porch to the front of the existing one-story house. Currently, the house is 1,773 square feet, and the existing attached two-car garage is proposed to maintain and remain at its present location. House is sitting on an 8,060 square foot lot, and it was built in 1956. The historic preservation planner has reviewed the house and found that it is not of any potential historic resource. House is located in the R12 single-family low-density residential zone. staff has been working with the applicant for quite some time, and we have come up with only two considerations for an approval. One is to simplify the design of the entry porch to better fit with the modern ranch style, and two is to consider providing fiberglass windows all around for consistency throughout. I believe the existing windows are vinyl, and applicant was proposing wood for the addition portion, and staff believes that if the entire house was changed to fiberglass windows throughout, it would provide consistency and yet have high-quality windows.
I'm sorry, I missed that. The existing house is what? And
Vinyl windows. And proposal included to do wood windows in the front only.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
I'll have the applicant address that as you have questions for her. That concludes my presentation. If you have questions,
Any questions
we're
for
happy
staff?
to answer them for you.
Okay, I've got one card, I believe. Yolanda McCausland. Oh. Causland. Causland, okay, great. State your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Yolanda McCausland. I'm the project designer of the home. Thank you very much for Mr. Grabord for his help in assisting us with the redesign of the house. We have been working with him diligently to try to match the style of the house. Right now, it's a two-bedroom house.
Two-story?
No, I'm
No,
sorry, I
just
made a
two-bedroom,
mistake.
two.
It's a two-bedroom house, one story, and we're adding a third bedroom. The addition is to the front of the property, and we have the front entry that has a little gable. The owner agreed to modify it to comply more with the ranch style. We decided to extend the gable so that it doesn't have the gables in, so you just see a clean roof line, pretty much to match what they have existing. The only objection that we have is in reference to the windows. They made an addition in the back in 2007. They added a family room, and at that time they put in vinyl windows, which were not objected to at that time. And if we are doing the addition, the owner requests that we only do the modification of the windows that are facing the street, not throughout the whole entire house.
The windows you're proposing to change, though,
Are the ones directly in the front,
just in the addition.
in the addition.
So the ones in the kitchen, none of those are proposed to
Those are
change?
not even visible from the street.
Okay, and those are vinyl now?
They're all vinyl.
Those are all
yeah.
vinyl.
And they were approved when we
There
submitted.
was permits pulled for those previously? That's true? Okay. I have a question. Have you thought of other ways of handling the tub area in the master bath? It just sort of pops out all by itself. It's kind of lonely. So.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Any other thoughts on that,
The
or-
problem that we have in there is the turning radius of the garage. We cannot, the room is already very compact, and the only way we can come up with a walk-in closet, which is the request of the owners, is to be able to pop out a little bit of on the front yard. But we don't want to extend the addition because then we don't have enough turning radius for the car.
Have you thought of maybe some kind of architectural feature to it or something to give it
We
a...
had tried we tried a gable in the front, but it was suggested that it's too many gables, so that's why we extended with a slope roof.
How about a different layout? Because it's almost 12 feet long bathroom. You couldn't work it out like mirroring the toilet and the tub, and a little bit smaller countertop probably. It's 11, 12 feet long.
They wanted the long vanity.
I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm trying to understand your renderings and elevation, and I'm looking at I drove by the house, and I'm looking at your photos, and I really didn't go over there and start measuring, but from my visual inspection that I did of the existing house, the slope of the roofs are extremely shallow compared to what you've drawn.
They are.
So
the-
compared to what you've drawn, it looks more like almost like a 3 or 4 and a 12, whereas what you have there is more of like a 2 and a 12 or something like that.
Well, and the renderings, unfortunately, they're a little bit misleading
Well,
because they're.
It's the same with the
high-
elevation.
The elevations.
It's the same with the elevation, and you're showing 4 and a 12 on your roof plan. But what you have right now, I mean, the pictures don't lie. I mean, it's like a completely different. The other concern that I have, I mean, you can literally understand what I'm talking about when you look at your existing door. I mean, when you look at your existing door head height versus where your the eave line is, and there's hardly any distance there between them two. And when you look
Yeah.
at your rendering and your elevations, you have
In
at
on
least
the
about
existing
4
door,
or
there is
5.
a soffit, and the plate height does come down a little bit
No, I
more.
understand. I can see that. But what you've drawn and what it's been rendered, and it's like completely different. The other thing is there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. You're literally putting the door down on the ground level. You've hidden away the steps in the entire
Well,
this.
The floor line is not going to change. The floor
Okay.
line is going to be maintained.
So what I'm trying to say is that by the time you start fixing these things, your front elevation is going to look completely different.
You're going to have 4 steps out in front of the new door.
So
Down to
the
get
height
down.
of those slender columns that I'm having issues with, they're going to get reduced. The door is going to get higher. So I don't know if the pitch of that, how's that going to work with your existing pitch? Because then if you're trying to maintain the height of that entry alcove or porch, is that going to stick out of the ridge line that you have right
Porch
now?
is good. The plate height is going to be governed by the front addition, so that's going to be the 8 foot.
Okay,
Then from
well,
there, it's going to start at the plate.
There is a
there's steps-
measuring issue there. So I-
Yeah, there's steps down you're taking from the front door. You're
Yeah,
coming
I'm
down.
extending and pushing in.
Right, when you extend it out, you're still going to have to deal with
still
those
going to have
steps.
exactly the same.
And
Right.
Level doesn't change.
and
Right, but you aren't showing any steps on the elevation.
And then my last question to you is, you said you did not want to punch out the addition or, that little, the tub section. You said that there's a turn radius issue. On your site plan, there's at least approximately 10 foot away from the turning radius.
Yeah.
So is there any other...
No, well, it's a sloping driveway, and at the top it is level. And they do have larger cars, and even though it does comply with the minimum turning radius, the owner feels more comfortable if she has a little bit more of a backup space than the minimum required.
Okay.
I
And
think-
she actually blocked out the alcove, and she feels comfortable with what we have.
Well,
Okay.
we'll discuss all.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Applicant? Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to speak on this project? Okay. Open it up. Who would like to start?
I can go ahead and start.
Okay.
I mean, just a visual inspection of the building and the drawings, there's definitely a discrepancy between what it's there and what it's being drawn. And normally, it's such a simple little addition that I can just say, let's forget about it, and he'll just deal with it. They'll just deal with it. But it's a complete design change from what it's there now. I mean, to me, the shallowness of the slope of the roof that it's there now makes the existing house a lot more attractive than what it's being proposed right now. So it could be more of a rendering issue, but combination of that, combination of the steps being eliminated from the front, so the entry door is lower than what it's supposed to be, and the window heights compared to the amount of stucco, you can call it, above, between the head and the the top of plate, I guess you want to call it, or that stucco area there. I think once those get fixed up, I think, it may be a very simple little addition. So we may want to just have them fix it and deal with it during the plan check, but it's going to affect the design. Now, the solution that I had for that little extension was that I would have said, let's just carry the roof over the bedroom. So how would I
Just increase the overhang? Just increase the overhang?
No, I would split the roof line, in two levels. So you have this into ridge line, and then this would be lowered as a shed roof over that could be one way of doing that. And having the rafter tails or whatever the details are, that can kind of help work that out. But if the roof line is not drawn properly, then that may not be possible. So that's my...
Well, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, in addition to Alan, I think maybe we should, to simplify, the entrance porch, I think it's not working. On top of the revising the plans to make it accurate, the steps and blah, blah, blah. I think there is room for the designer actually to simplify. It will help. I think in my opinion, the bathroom is too long. I think there's room for that to eliminate, I think to simplify, make the master bedroom wall and the bathroom wall same line, maybe pushing the master bedroom wall outside and then pushing the bathroom in. I think there's room to investigate to clean it up. That way you could clean up the roof design too at the same time and take that porch. Those columns are too thin, they're too tall. Like Alan said, once you fix the elevations and the steps and all that, you're going to have a different design with the roof pitch and all that. I still think that you need to revisit, in my opinion, the walk-in closet and the bathroom and the master bedroom, simplify it, try to get that niche out and make it much simpler, cleaner line. And get rid of the porch, the gable entrance. That's about it.
Mrs. Tom?
I agree with both of your comments. I think that I was uncomfortable with the addition. It had a lot going on, where the original house is very simple and elegant in that simplicity, and it's very open. It's part of the site. This one feels like it's competing, and it's trying to just add a bunch of stuff onto the front. The element that's the entryway doesn't quite go with the rest of this vernacular, and then you have this stepped master bedroom, bathroom elements that I think are just too little, too much, and just a lot going on. So I also think that there's some room for improvement in the layout on the interior. Like, for instance, if you gang the bathrooms, you can take advantage of the plumbing. Yeah, you could maybe rotate the new bathroom to back up to the existing bathroom, and then push the walk-in closet to the, flip them, and then you'd have that, we kind of resolve that kind of pop out of the tub. But, there's just some latitude to move around the elements. And, why isn't the addition lining up with anything on the existing side? Why is the entryway this kind of like a hallway corridor type thing that you have to put this roof over? That I think it's just, it's not as inviting as the original house is, and I'd like to see it be as inviting or more inviting than it is now. But I would like to say the drawing package was excellently put together. It's very easy to understand, and to have the pictures referenced as the locations was very helpful. So it's a very good package.
Okay, thank you. I agree with the other ones. I think because it was thorough, you can see where the discrepancies are. So hats off. A couple questions I would have. You're not showing it on your 2D, your non-colored elevations, your black and whites. The roof that's going over the existing den, you're showing that it's a gable that's facing the street, sort of like it is now, but at a steeper pitch. And I think that's actually causing you trouble when you look in your proposed 3D. You get an eave line in that entry porch that I think is kind of awkward because you're trying to incorporate the gable. So it should probably go back.
That would turn the gable over to the side. That was not our original design.
Yes, that's great. Give me one more second, then I'll have you, you can come back up. So that would be the question I'd have. And I agree, I think there's issues in terms of how that's drawn, because I think there is a question of when those elevations are resolved, what the front would look like. I think, Mr. Zombick, if you wanted to respond, somebody we can...
No, I just,
Out of order a
my
little
comment
bit.
in
It's okay.
reference to the gable on the side was that we originally had it turned the other way, but then it was competing with the gable in the front. So it was actually a recommendation that we turn it to the other side. So that's one of the questions that you had, or comments that you had.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I think it's that aspect of it, I think, is the problem, because there's a second gable that's happening with the porch one, and it's causing a problem with that porch.
It needs to be simplified.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the existing gables with the porch?
There's a porch, this gable, which is this gable added, repitched. It's creating an eave that's inside that porch that I think is going to be awkward. That if the roof came just across simply, and then the porch roof happens, I think it would clean it up a little bit. So.
Mr. Gregorios, if I may, you're referring to the existing eave line on the den?
The den, yeah.
And how the new roof actually overlaps on that existing eave.
It creates an overhang inside
An
the
eave
porch.
inside the roof, yeah.
Right.
Actually, I think the rendering is drawn inaccurately, because when you look at your roof plan, they're creating a California frame over it. And
I know there's a discrepancy because the elevation doesn't show it
Yeah.
that way. There's no elevation on the 2D, so
Right.
that's it. Something needs to be clarified. If we get a motion for somebody?
And one more just quick little note. You got a column placed in front of your window, about 3 feet away, and again, conditions like that it's being forced by the design, that it's creating an awkward situation. You don't want to have a column that is sitting 5 inches away from the edge. This is a post and beam, handcrafted details that are really going to make this thing work, because what you have right now is very simple, very clean, very elegant, and what you want to propose is a very handcrafted wood detailed elements there. So details like when you're replacing the window and you're putting the window back and you're widening that corner area, which is the plaster, and it's not even in line with the column, so forth. So it's you're creating conditions there that I think it definitely needs some more attention to. I'll make a motion to return for redesign with comments.
Second.
Okay, motion seconded?
All right, I'll quickly go over the comments. The first condition that was added was to pull out the walls of the master bedroom. This was actually Mr. Jean-Pierre Bouladin that mentioned it. Pull out the master bedroom wall and push back the bathroom wall to level them off, so that way you get a cleaner roof line. And in addition to that, continue that roof line all the way to the existing gable, and then put the entry porch on top of that roof. That way you don't have an overhang inside the porch area, entry porch area.
No, eliminate the porch.
Well,
Or
they
they
could
could
be
eliminated.
Completely.
They could
Simplify it,
I think they could probably come back with something, maybe.
if they want. I mean,
If I may interject, Gevorg, I think actually there's two issues embodied in that comment. One is the sort of just simplify the alignment of the walls on the front elevation between
Yes.
the bedroom and the bathrooms.
Correct.
The purpose of which is to simplify the roof line, not so much the elevations. And then the second issue you raised was the chair's concern about the sort of eaves within the porch. And I think that should be a separate comment or discussion point.
Okay.
With the one other issue is that she's springing the gable from the end of the push-out on the bathtub, which is making the plate height higher over the master bedroom window. But if it's sprung from the front wall and then it just got lower over the tub, then the porch roof wouldn't have to be as high either. It could come down to a more manageable height. So if we could work that somehow. Are you with me on that? Nobody caught that?
Yeah, I caught you sort of halfway through, so start the beginning again.
The gable, the roof is pulling back from the extension of the tub in the master bedroom.
Right.
Okay? So consequently, when it finally moves back to the master bedroom wall, there's a higher plate height. So you're seeing more wall at the master bedroom.
So your suggestion then would be
It would start from the master
plate
bed-
height of
at the master bedroom, and then it would go down
Got
over
it.
the tub. So then the porch roof could be
The
lower.
slope needs to match the existing slope, not the...
That needs to
former.
clarify if they're repitching or not. That would be a question, if they're
The
repitching.
proposal does not include to repitch the roof, actually.
Okay, then that
And
needs
it
to
is
match.
something that staff noticed as well, and we thought it was just a rendering issue.
No, it's not, because you can literally take a tape measure and measure from the head of the window to the, you can...
Okay, so one of the conditions added would be to clarify the proposal,
Clarify the
whether
roof
it includes repitching the roofs
Right.
or not. If not, then make
Draw it
the renderings to match the existing.
Yes.
Okay, I think that pretty much, and of course, about the windows, I did not hear any comments about the windows that staff had put forth.
I would support them just doing the fronts. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, just the front,
Because they're proposing wood windows, so they're quality windows.
front as well.
And of course, simplify if they're going to keep the columns, simplify the columns as well. Right. As staff.
Not
has.
simplify,
no
but I think
column.
there's going to be a lot more thought needs to go into that, because you got the steps that it's missing, you got the column going in front of the window that it's not really situated properly. The other wall, the other column is like 5 inches in from the corner of the. So it's just there's a
Redesign.
lot of
Just make a
thinking.
note that the elevation change to the front door is addressed.
Yeah, a lot of
Because there's
thinking
4
needs
steps
to go
to go
into
into
that
that.
rather than just simply showing.
If I may, maybe the simplest way to state it is to revisit the porch design, including the steps, alignment of columns.
I just want to make sure they did the steps, because that
Right.
is a giveaway if you did the steps or not, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And this will be so motion was made by
Return for redesign.
Mr. Malikian to return for redesign, and second by Mr. Boladian. Roll call, Mr. Boladian.
Yes.
Mr. Malikian.
Yes.
Ms. Sakai.
Yes.
Chairman Gergos.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, we are moving on to 2 PDR 2009-070-A, 3803 Pennsylvania. Mr. Baxter. Hear that. Good thing there's no microphones outside. Because I didn't hear it. Take it away, Mr. Baxter.
Nope. There's a white button.
It has to be white?
It needs to be lit.
Lit, okay, lit it is. And, okay, well, I was hoping to find our spot here and zoom in. I apologize for, here we go. So and we're on this back panel. And we have our site plan, proposed floor plans, roof. Here's our elevation perspective. Here's our material board. We have some photographs here for you to look at. And this is an overhead view, which we also have on the TV there too. Anyway, the project at 3803 Pennsylvania Avenue is technically a new house, 2,917 square feet. It looks like an addition because they're keeping the northwesterly part of the house and doing the addition through here, including that garage, converting the old garage into floor area. But under our codes, if you remove more than 50% of the roof and the exterior walls, then it's a new house. So they're basically, we're calling it a new house, and they're meeting the new house standards for an R1 zone. The existing house was 1,568 square feet, built in '61, and it resembled sort of a ranch-style home. It's pretty utilitarian. It's located in a district in Glendale called Del Monte, which is part of this 40s and 50s neighborhood in our guidelines. It's not known to have any identifiable architectural style in that area of the town. As far as the house compares with its neighbors, it does have a larger setback than most homes in the neighborhood, both average and on the range of home setbacks. One of the things that's interesting, you can see here and on the screen, is that it's not directly on Pennsylvania Avenue. It's set off on this frontage road behind it, and then from there, it is set back over here. So you drive down this driveway, there is a gate set back from the street. So you come off of Pennsylvania onto a frontage Pennsylvania, and then you set back even further here to this location there. The house is going to be larger floor area-wise than any of the homes in the area. However, because it has a large lot, it actually has one of the lower floor area ratios in the area. The lot size is almost 15,500 square feet, and the average lot size is 9,200 square feet. And the categories that staff looks at, the site planning, the mass and scale, and the building design and detailing, for the most part, the first two categories of the site planning and mass and scale, we felt the house was consistent with the neighboring ones. First of all, the site planning is pretty much staying in the same location. One of the reasons they have an issue is that they do have a drain line through here. It's a city storm drain buried under, so they can't move the house at this end. They have some leeway down here and back here, but it drains right through here and around that corner. So they're pretty much leaving everything in this corner alone and just making some changes down
So I
here.
understand that that's the maximum that they can go on that they can pop out the dining room?
Yes, because they
That's the
run,
maximum they can go?
yeah, they're going to run over, yes, that's correct.
An existing encroachment over the.
No, they're right at the edge of it.
Oh.
Otherwise, they're going to go into the storm drain area, and that creates a problem for them. So that's why it is there, and I'm sure the applicant can go into more detail about it, but that is a storm drain area over it. In fact, you can even see where it says right here, utility easement. Comes like this, runs parallel to the house, angles across, comes down here. See, it says the band of
Oh, it
utility
actually
easement.
goes around the house, okay.
Yes, it wraps around the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably pretty small to read on your plan, but that's, you can see the little outline. As far as the architectural design, it's very simple design that exists now, and it's a simple design that they are proposing. Staff worked with them for several different variations of the design. This one seems to be one that the applicant is settled with, and staff is going to support it. We did have some conditions, though, mainly relating to the architectural information. We want the exterior doors to be made of wood and to be of a design consistent with ranch-style homes as much as possible, that the casement windows should be recessed. These were submitted, but they just didn't appear to be something that we could quite understand as far as being a recessed casement window, so we are asking for something that reflects that. And then we want a steel troweled stucco application to be applied to the house. And that pretty much concludes my staff report. I can go into more detail if you need questions.
Any questions for staff?
Is this the color, proposed color?
Yeah, here's the color here, sir.
The exterior?
Yes, sir.
Where's the color? Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, this is the description, and here's the color.
I see it on the note. Okay.
And this is the
window.
and that is the window and trims.
You wrote over it.
I know.
I know.
I thought it was just a decoration.
Well, when you look here, you're right. You're looking for a nice stucco chip, and it's not there. But it has it's like he flipped it over on the backside, made a copy of that, and
what
then
is
here's the
this
colors.
also?
Well, that was part of an earlier version that we said it was a door. It was a door
Are you actually
detail.
painting it, or is that the La
La
Habra
Habra
stucco?
stucco.
That's why we're asking
That's
for
to make it.
That's why.
Stop us and-
Well, what's that? Yeah, what's that? You'll be in a minute. They'll call you, sir. One moment. So, so the steel trowel stucco application. That's what they're calling out for. I mean, that's what we're asking them to do, but they're calling out to be a.
Of course, the screens. Why is it?
Well, that's why we're at one of our conditions is like wood doors that are consistent with the ranch style design.
Okay.
What we had
What
here.
is it right now? What is that?
Well-
what is it proposing?
He had a steel door detail, and we said we didn't think that would work, so we took it out. But the backside here, he'll have to go into kind of description. We didn't feel it'd be something that'd be appropriate.
Elevation, that 6-foot setback from the
Yes.
property line is
Minimum.
allowable.
That's the minimum for code. That's right.
Because it's a new construction.
Because it's new construction.
But the roof will be within.
You can have an eave project over that. An eave can project into a setback area. Actually, up to 30 inches. 30 inches, yeah. Technically. But he has pretty short eaves, so he's certainly not 30 inches.
Okay, thank you very much. I have one card. If there's anybody else who'd like to speak, please fill out a card. Leon Barzagar. You can state your name and address, please.
My name is Leon Barzagar, and my address is 520 East Broadway, Glendale, California, suite number 300. And I prepared some kind of a statement that I'm going to. I stated my name and all that. I guess you have already expressed those things. I basically represent Mr. and Mrs. Waldheim, and the growth of the family, has necessitated the additional alteration of the existing single-family residence. The project is located at the intersection of Honolulu and Pennsylvania Avenue, curved transition with vehicular barrier separating residents from the street. The berm, 3 to 4 feet asphalt berm and metal vehicular guard on top has rendered the lot non-visible from the street. The subject lot is a flag lot, and you do not see the complete residence unless you are deep in the lot. Having said the introductory remarks, the scope of the work basically is the construction of the two-car garage in front of the existing two-car garage, and converting existing two-car garage and extra bonus room in the rear of the garage to a master bedroom and master bath and closet. A addition of 6-foot extension to the existing kitchen and dining room. Insertion of the laundry room in the cavity between existing garage and kitchen, and insert the child playroom between existing den and existing extra room. In doing so, we will remove the existing rafters to have a simple and clean roof acceptable to the board, and be able to have AC unit and other utilities inside the attic. It's basically wraps up,
I just had a question for you. And I know it's a very simple house, but even the house now has shutters or some kind of architectural feature to it. Have you thought about making larger windows or adding some stone elements or anything to the facade?
We had stones, but it was rejected. They didn't want stones, so we removed all the stones and just basically stucco.
We do have, I found some elevations from previous meetings. I think one of the things staff had thought would be more appropriate would be a brick type material. And one of the other issues that we had was a problem was that the material, I'm looking at my previous notes, one of the other problems was materials ending on the same plane. Something about it that when the architectural staff were looking at it, they said this just doesn't work the way you have it designed, and if you can make it work. And
are you able to put those up?
No, I am, and I just left them at my desk. There's a roll of 3 of them, Villia. You'll see them laying on my desk, sir.
Okay.
And I can put those up, sir. I can show you the iterations. I believe I have them down.
Okay, that's good.
I have a question.
Yeah,
the dining room window is arched. All the other windows are straight. Is there a reason for that?
drawing.
So right there, sir, on the board.
Only
That's
the one and
Mrs.
only.
Waldheim, she likes arched window in that setting, in that dining room. So, and then she just loves a arched window in that area. So that's what we try to incorporate her desires.
I think one option would be, this is just me speaking, if you actually took it more towards a Mediterranean style, although it's slightly different, at least at that point, if you're not going to add any material to it, you arch all the windows and then you make a feeture out of it. But anyway, that's one way of going, but please go ahead.
You have that glimmer in your eye, like that kind of caught your eye.
The what?
No, it's just...
The window.
I'm saying if you like arch windows,
The
make them
sexy window.
Yeah.
Any other question for applicant? Because we'll...
No, I don't have any questions.
Oh, I have one more question. So the storm drainage easement, or the utility easement, sorry, means that you can't build any structure over that.
That's
Is that
right.
correct? Okay. So like in doing the extended entryway, I noticed it's only like 3 foot 3 inch wide. Was there any consideration making that wider?
Hey, we'll cut into the dining area.
Yeah.
And they just wanted to keep that. So,
I have one question. What was your reason of articulating the garage?
that's the easement line, follows that line. So we had to offset two stalls of the garage to follow the line of easement.
You couldn't, eat up from that closet, walk-in closet.
You're not required to do that. You're wanting to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Because you could have done flush and then pushed that.
the walk-in closet's pretty, anyway.
Yeah, but then you would have we have lost quite a bit.
Yes.
We
Lose
would have
space.
defeated the
Right.
addition or extra space that they desire, the family desire.
The
I just want to... Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
That looks much better than what it was. Okay. Should I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Who needs to
Just make this square.
The boss. The big boss.
Just waiting for her to pin it up. Who would like to start? I'll be official. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Please start.
Okay, I have some issues with this project. It's such a simple project, but I think it needs. It's a box with needs some makeup, and we need to add some material. I think the problem I'm having is the windows placements. There's no entrance. I'm having problems with the. It's not even a remodel. It's almost a brand new house, and you have the opportunity the luxury to do whatever you want to do in a way. Like the entrance, like looking the elevation front entrance, you have that door is like a side door. The main entrance door, it looks like a side door to me. If you look at, too narrow, it's tight, and then you have that arched sexy window, that special window. You have to keep it, the architecture. Either you're going to go...
This is a family show. Keep it...
Okay. Keep it short, low. Anyway, what I'm going to keep it short. It needs to be cleaned out.
Afternoon. Come on, your kids are watching.
Okay. So, the articulation, I think you should have used it. You should simplify where the garage is. I think, in my opinion, needs to make it cleaner, one-door garage door, and then use the articulation where the kitchen and the dining room is, and then make the entrance more symbolic entrance, that people, when they drive to that house or site, they should know where the entrance of the house is, not trying to figure out if that's a side door or it's the entrance. I think it's too tight. And also, by doing that with the clean arterial, I think that wall where the dining room is and the kitchen, I think maybe you should introduce an additional material, like side paneling, something that to make the architecture a little bit more interesting, or going into Mediterranean style. I agree with all the comments that you guys recommended, but the door, the French. it's not done yet. Those the windows are too small in the front. It's not well thought out, in my opinion. The size of the windows in the front and the back, the garage door, the garage design needs to be reworked. The entrance needs to be reworked. Introducing additional material, panels or stone. And then the color, I'm not sure about the color. I can't really tell. It might be too dark, in my opinion. That's about it.
Okay, next.
Well, it's kind of ironic. The utility easement forced the building to have some breakup. So I guess we got to thank the utility easement. They managed to break this building up a little bit. I'm going to be very short. I think it's lacking architecture, and I think it's lacking architectural details. I have no idea the reason. I'm sorry. I completely missed it, Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
What was the reasoning from where where we started and where we ended up with? But it seems like we had a little bit more character, or as Mr. Balajian said, character or something. I think it was going in a direction that we could have kind of manipulated a little bit more. Right now, it's just a simple box, and I know that the existing houses are very simple, but even when you look at your existing house, it has a little bit of material and some details there that, by this addition, it's simply covering that up. So I'm not going to get into what details because I think it's lacking the architectural style that I would like to see, so I can start commenting towards that style. Plans are very weak, so I can't really understand the purpose of us getting good quality set of plans is be able to comment better, which the previous project had a very complete, thorough set of plans, even though that we had to send them back, but it was very, very graphically complete, I guess you want to call it. So I'll leave it as that.
Well, I think I asked the questions about the entry and the window because I did have an uncomfortable nature. When I looked at this building, I said, what's going on here? And obviously you can't find the entry door. It's 3'3" is not a comfortable entry at any means. I kind of wanted to introduce another element to kind of bring that forward and make it into a porch and an element, but I understand now that you can't do that because of the utility easement, and that's a shame because I think that that would help a lot just to kind of add that one little thing to the front of it to say, this is the front, here's a nice porch, you can all gather and come into the house. And then also you can make the windows in the front bigger to kind of say this is, an inviting home that you're going to be coming into, not these little tiny windows that don't want you to look inside at all. And I think you have this opportunity because you have this great big landscape in front that the inside and outside can relate, and you can use that to your benefit, that you can bring the outside in and have lovely views from your kitchen and your dining room, and you don't have to have these tiny windows. And you can incorporate the arches. I think, like Mr. Malikian said, that one of the earlier designs, when looking out on the wall, you started to go in that direction, and that has more consistency than having all the square windows and then one arch window. So I think that maybe you should look at that as a way of going, if you're going to do one or the other, if it make the windows just more of an element on the building. And then in terms of siding, I think having the walkway go alongside the house, what I would like to see is have that walkway kind of detach itself and go more into the driveway and create more of a planting area in the front, and just kind of leading you from the driveway where it's from the street area, the visibility into the driveway, and then that driveway as a walkway that kind of meanders through your landscaping. So it creates this entry sequence as you get to the house and says, here's the front door, here's how you're going to get there, and then when you get there, you're welcome into the home. So I think those are my overall comments. I do agree that there needs to be a little more character. There just needs to be a little bit more definition of what this house is.
One more comment. Also, I noticed for once, try to line up, the walls. I mean, it's like some areas like where window 15 and 1, that wall, that you have that flat TV screen wall going, and then it jags 6-inch, and then you go. I mean, you could clean up those. I mean, have a cleaner lines of walls. I mean, and then also you have by the entrance where the bedroom, where the window number 12 and the dining room window number 11, you have that wall. It's like 6 inch. If you want to articulate that it's visible, not like 6-inch. Is this crooked or whatever. If you're going to articulate, make it people see that it's really articulated. It's still extend out like 2 feet or not like 6-inch. I think that's, to me, it's like a. I mean, this is not an addition. It's a mistake or construction mistake or. I mean, you have the luxury. This is it's almost a brand new project, so you have the power to do all those decisions to clean up and then line up all the walls and have a simpler, functionally cleaner architecture.
I would add that the staggered garage is a little strange. It's almost like you said, here's my line that I can go out to, so I'm going to go out to that line wherever I touch it. That's where it stops. So I think, because it's a simple house, to keep the garage simple, you don't have all these little volumes breaking up the front in terms of a garage door and the roof line. And I do understand you're going to lose part of the walk-in closet, but you're already at a fairly large closet space. And maybe you can get some of that space back by just pulling that wall out so you don't have that niche on the side. I don't know if that would be any better, but I think that's a lot of breaking up the volume, especially with garages are typically you're going to have 2-car garages. You're not going to have 1 car like they did in the old days.
Structurally, you're going to have a problem there.
All right, I agree with the others. I think when you have the opportunity, because you're adding 6 or 8 feet to the front of this house, to do whatever you want to do on that front facade. And you can either push and pull and not take all the footage that you had to take. That's an option that you're making. And I think if you're not, just let me finish and I'll let you can talk again. When you decide that you're going to push all the way out on one line, you're putting a big burden on yourself to try to generate an architectural face to that works. And then you put uses there that aren't by their necessariness are small windows, like the kitchen window or something. That's the only option you have to do a window. So you've made it very difficult for yourself because you pushed everything to that line. So don't think that we're trying to say, you've made that decision. You could have pushed and pulled and not added everything to that line, and you would then automatically have had interest on that facade. So know that it's because you've lined everything up that you then have the added burden of trying to add interest to that facade. And the windows, since you're not doing any material, the only option you have then that you've given yourself, the only quiver in your case is windows at that point. So then you look at the windows, because then it just stares at you very obviously that you have these small windows that are kind of out of scale with the big facade that you've made. You've made a very large single plane. So you've automatically made it very difficult for you to do that. So once you've done that, you then need to do things to pull you back a little bit, which is either to add material or do something with the roof form, sort of like you've done before, or add larger windows. Something needs to be done to raise the level of that facade. So there's all kinds of things you can do. I mean, I think, I wish everybody the largest house they want to have. I don't have a problem with footage. But I think by looking at the plan, I don't know that things had to be as large as they are. Like the kitchen seems like you have quite a large area there with the center section. Again, I wish you the best. But I'm saying there's areas that you can push and pull on that facade that would add interest to that facade. And again, what's happening on the rest of the building I could be flexible with. It's hard to see. But I think it still is relatively visible on that facade. And I think it's, since it is all new, you have the onus to make it presentable. So that was all I would say. So if someone wants to make a motion?
I make a motion to come back to redesign.
Return for redesign.
Return for redesign.
Second that.
Yeah, we'll make some comments on it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for return for redesign. I have some categories Number one primary is restudy the front entrance, restudy the fenestration, particularly in the front, introduce additional materials and details, consider a more unified architectural style or identifiable one, for instance, like a Mediterranean style. We have add introduce materials and details to the front entry area, actually to the front of the building. The rest of it is kind of more of editorial. Building lacks character. Oh, there was one thing about an entry walkway.
Yeah.
Landscaping.
In that front existing landscape area to kind of create a entry, a processional, a welcoming walkway to the new entry.
A welcoming walkway.
Have to hug the house, go along the edge.
Possibly lining up the garage, and also that plate height doesn't have to be as high as...
Also, maybe I recommend a consideration for the designer to visit the program, like the overall the program, each room, each kitchen, like the bathrooms. I think I notice in general, like some areas, like the proportions are not proper. I think, like the bathroom, the fixtures and all that. I think he needs to.
Can comment on that.
Yeah.
Can't
tell no.
It's a consideration.
Okay. So I won't put that as a condition then?
No, it's not a condition.
No,
it was.
You look at the exterior, right? You don't look at the interior.
That's correct.
Exactly. No, we aren't.
Okay. So the areas of the front entry, the garage, as a point, restudy the garage design, consider single door.
Its plate height could also be lower, too.
Lower the whole house or just
No,
garage?
just the garage plate height. It looks like it doesn't have to be that high. The consideration.
Consider. The other ones are conditions?
I think so.
I think so. Okay.
If I understood this, there's going to be a range of comment considerations, but also a few conditions. I mean, there's a sort of broad discussion on almost could all be considerations.
No, pretty much everything is conditions.
Okay.
That's what I was. Thank you. Okay, and if I can take the roll call if you all are ready for that.
Yep.
Return for resign with conditions and consideration. Mr. Bolodian?
Yes.
Mr. Malikian?
Yes.
Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Garagos?
Yes.
4-0. Resign.
Okay, we are moving on to 2 PDR 2010-011-A, 1564 Sheridan Road.
Pardon?
I hope that's
No,
not the house.
That is not the house. Actually, no.
I'm looking at this.
Yeah,
I
board
don't know. Yeah, I thought that was the
Chairman
house.
Garagos, board members, tonight's last case on the agenda is PDR 2010-011A. It's for 1564 Sheridan Road, and these are actually the plans that were presented for the same site last year on July 23rd, 2009. What you see before you, what for your review, are the set of plans located here. This is essentially a new house, approximately 2,950 square feet, one story. It's on a flag lot located on Sheridan Road. The reason why we have these plans up is that the house previously was going to be an addition to the existing single-family one-story home. It was exempted from design review board because they had added less than 700 square feet. However, due to issues with the demolition, while the plans were still in plan check, more of the home was removed, and the plans had to go before the design review board. The design review board, at their last review, went ahead and returned for redesign based on what was submitted with four comments. From that time, the property owners hired a new architect, who you have before you, who actually was on the design review board, and so these particular plans that you see for your review are being presented to you as opposed to the previous DRB number 2, which saw the original proposal. Again, going back to this particular project, it's a brand new home, single family, one story, just under 3,000 square feet with an attached 2-car garage. You had a very detailed staff report spelled out in 3 categories. The first category was site planning. Essentially, the project, if you'll notice here on this particular sheet, shows the existing footprint of the building and the attached 2-car garage, and essentially what is sort of somewhat of an expanded footprint. It still has that low-rise, single-story, expanded building footprint. The 2-car garage has been turned a little bit more at an angle to the 90-foot long driveway, but in terms of the actual site plan, the orientation of the home and the garage, it's pretty much very similar to the previously existing home. The lot coverage has increased a little bit because the building footprint has spread out. The existing mature landscaping is set to remain. Overall, the site plan layout of the home, of the flag lot, remains essentially the same and is therefore consistent with the neighborhood and with the existing condition. Second topic in the staff report was mass and scale. Previously, one-story ranch-style home. What you see before you is also essentially a contemporary home that is, again, one story. The roof lines range anywhere from 12 feet to approximately 17 feet. The maximum in this particular neighborhood would be 25 feet, so it's well below the neighborhood, well below the zoning code limits. The majority of the homes in the neighborhood are one story. Again, it's one story. The actual design of the project really maximizes all the different elevations, the cutouts, the articulation, their low-slung roof lines, very wide eaves. There's a lot of horizontal elements to the project. So again, the mass and scale is very much minimized in this particular location. Even though it's a rather large house, it is set far back on what you notice here is the flag lot. It's 90 feet away from the street frontage, and so the visual appearance of the home is really de-emphasized when you consider the other homes in the surrounding area. Last item touched upon in the staff report was the building design and detailing. The photographs that you see, I believe we have the photographs handed to you. The previous home was more of a rectangular ranch-style home. This is definitely an updated contemporary version, but it has influences that are both contemporary and ranch style. Ranch style being the horizontal siding. You have the low-pitched roofs, the wide eaves being the ranch type details. But then you have very type of modernist looks, like you'll have the interplay of roof lines. You'll have clear story windows, a heavy emphasis on storefront windows with a very heavy aluminum, dark aluminum frame. You have not only siding, but you also have beadboard along the garage here. That's a very contemporary type material treatment. You'll notice that there is stonework on the front. The front is emphasized by this clear story window, stonework that rises through the 2 different roof lines. That same element is then utilized somewhat on the rear. You'll have, again, that the clear-story windows, the doorway that exits off to the rear pool area, which the pool area is to be maintained as existing, and now the stone, that stone vertical element is utilized in the corner, and this is an indoor-outdoor fireplace. So and again, we're not to talk about the interior layout, but the fireplace not only has an interior fireplace for the family room, but it also has the exterior for the rear yard. You'll notice that there is a patio maximizing somewhat of a shade structure in the rear, and you'll notice sort of like the not the undulating, but like the changes in roof line go out throughout. So it's still somewhat of a side gable, except you have various fragmented portions along that really add a lot of play to the actual building design. Because now I could go in, if you'd like, to the 4 comments that the board made. One was to stylistically improve all the details, which obviously they've hired a different architect. The house is completely redesigned from what you previously saw. Provide window details, a distinctive more front entryway, which was done in an updated roof plan. So all of those items that had been addressed. Based on the building mass and scale, the architectural style, and the site plan, staff is recommending approval of the project. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions for
Question
staff?
on the landscape.
Yes.
The steps down to the pool on the upper area.
Those are
Seems to have planting in front of it.
these are not utilized. There's a concrete walkway that's existing
This is still planting?
but it is still planting. Yes, correct. No.
Are they going to use these today?
Well, technically, the pool is just going to be accessed from the particular property.
This is all just...
So that's all pretty much, it's existing. They're going to maintain it, but it's not going to be really utilized. You'll notice there's an existing throwback from the 1950s, an actual bunker. So it's a bomb shelter listed on the building plan. So, and that is to be maintained. So
I like that.
just a little unique concept.
Is there a patio?
Some wine and cigars, and you're all set?
I'm sorry. Where is this?
Is this a wall?
Yes. I'm going to let...
Going down.
There is and previously the plans, and I'll let the architect speak to this. Previously, the 2-car garage actually had a retaining wall that was utilized as part of the garage wall, except due to fire requirements for accessibility around the building, he had to provide some sort of walkway because of the slope. He had stairs up and stairs around.
Okay.
So it goes down, then
It goes up and then it goes down. Because there is this, and I should mention this, the lot not only is a flag lot with a 90-foot wide driveway, but it has a slope going to the north and a slope going to the south, so that the access way, because it's a cut into the slope, has to go up and go around down. Is that
It's
correct?
just not showing on the elevation.
The elevation, there's a wall there.
There's an up and down.
No,
This would be the
The
garage.
west elevation.
Correct. So there is a wall there. You essentially,
Stairs up and
this rear elevation is very privatized because, you have that slope that goes way up.
No, but there's a set of stairs that would be going up and down.
Yes, in this
Yeah.
case, the set of stairs is not shown on here.
Okay.
But the material is below that line. So what is it? It's a wall or it's landscaped?
It's backfill.
Backfill?
Yeah, because that's the stairs going up and then down.
Not so much backfill, they're actually cutting into the slope. So they're going to have to create a retaining
Stairs
wall.
going up and then down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
block wall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a block.
Block retaining wall. Any other further questions?
Nope.
Great job, thank you. Okay, we have 2 cards. Art Simonian, state your name and address because we don't know who you are.
Art Simonian, 501 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. And thank you very much, Vilya, for a wonderful presentation.
It sounded like she was selling the house or something.
It's almost like she's the architect, right?
No, she was like the agent, like the selling agent. She was leaning. She was going over the line. She was saying, "Oh, you could do this and back."
She likes the house.
We've collaborated
She
quite a
crossed
bit.
the line. I think she crossed the line.
And,
Please,
I'm the architect, and good evening. DRB board members and staff. As staff suggested, the project is situated on a very unique flag-shaped lot, and the property is surrounded by 1- and 2-story homes. Our proposal is to demolish the existing frame that is existing at the site and to build a new house. The project is located in the Chevy Chase Estates neighborhood, and the neighborhood possesses ranch, mid-century, and Spanish homes and influences. And the proposed house is a contemporary mid-century house with ranch-style characteristics such as a pronounced entry, deep roof overhangs, horizontal hardy siding to help emphasize the horizontal aspect of the house, low-slung roof pitches, and earth-tone exterior colors that were selected to blend the house with the surrounding context. And we do have a material board someplace up there that will give you an example of the actual colors as opposed to what's on the elevations. These are the actual colors and the various wood stains that we are proposing. The house has a combination of hardy siding, stone veneer, and stained T&G wood panels. We are proposing aluminum bronze windows with hardy trim around them to emphasize them. These aluminum bronze windows will match the floor-to-ceiling storefront system proposed in portions of the house that emphasize the indoor and outdoor connections of the house. The house is considerably set back from the street. In fact, its 93-foot driveway creates a situation where the house is minimally visible from Sheridan Road. Only a portion of the garage and the garage door will be seen, and that's a very small portion. The site is upsloping to the west and to the south, I should say, and the site only has views to the south and to the southeast. And so, therefore, we have this flag-shaped lot where we have a hillside going up on the west side, on the south, and really the only views that were provided to us were from the south to the southeast. And so our initial matching studies resulted in orienting the public portions of the house to the east. Intent was to allow as much light into the family room and into the kitchen where the family is going to spend most of their time, and placing the bedrooms to the west, adjacent to the hillside, in order to maximize privacy. The house consists of an open plan and shape, and the public and private portions of the house are divided by a corridor that consists of half-height walls that further emphasize the openness of the house. So this divided corridor also is lit from above by low-E glass skylights, and its walls only reach about halfway up to the ceiling. And so this corridor literally is a half wall, and it separates the two portions of the home. And this intent is to allow as much light into the belly of the house, and that's the intent of it, because we have these low roofs going to the east to respect the home to our east, and so therefore the idea was to get more light to the center. The existing pool is to remain. The multi-slide floor-to-ceiling sliders will connect the indoor and the outdoor around the existing, around the exterior fireplace, I should say. And the intent is to create an outdoor living room to take advantage of our great Southern California climate. That's wraps up my presentation, in addition to what staff already went through. And so I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
I have one question. These on the perspective drawings, you have these overhangs. Are those in or out?
They are out. Initially, we had some trellises over the sliders, just left of the entry, and also off of the living room. And we've taken them out. We collaborated with staff on this, and we also took a look at it, and we thought it was a better idea to take it out because we have such deep overhangs above them. And so the idea was to grow some vines up and have them be covered. But we decided otherwise and decided to go with more of the pure architectural elements of the home.
I like the orange color, too. It's great.
The what?
The orange color on
Thank
the
you, yeah. We went through a lot of stains to try to find them.
Quick question. The stain on the trellis is different from the front door. Is there any
Correct.
consideration of why they're separate, or why you wouldn't want them the same?
Well, the ranch style inherently has a pronounced entryway, and so our idea from the beginning was to create somewhat of a special entry point. Because the house is so narrow at that entrance. The lot is so narrow at the entrance. So we have this bottleneck that is created. And so we push the garage to its side to create a wider footprint to work with. And so at the same time, we wanted to really emphasize that, solid wood door within the glass, and that's why we went with such a bright color to emphasize it.
But why not match the two? Have the trellis in the back match the front door?
One would never see the front door and the rear trellis at the same time because of the orientation of the building. And so I'm fond of that orange, and so I recommend it.
The other question was, going back to the planting in front of the stairs, I guess I don't understand. The back of the property is kind of in ruins, or you never want to go back there? That bunker is kind of like a leftover space, so you're kind of blocking the stairs on purpose with all your landscaping.
Correct. As you might see, some of the retaining walls that are in our property actually go and protrude into the neighbors' properties as well. And so since it's a hillside, it's very hard for us to start working on those retaining walls, because then we're going to cause erosion issues on other people's properties. So the idea is to maintain that bunker as it is and to let the lush vegetation which currently exists to take it over time, and it's just going to just grow around it. And so the idea isn't to utilize those stairs as much, because no one's really going to be going back there as often.
You're trying to actually minimize the stairs and block them off by putting planting in front of it.
Yes, and we've, I think, kept, an access point, but the idea is not to emphasize the stairs because it's not a focal point.
And then your patio porch, kind of by the front door, is that going to be a enclosed space with a gate, or is that going to be open with the swing door shown, but you also have planting shown? So I'm a little confused as to if it's fenced off or if it's open.
The idea is to create an entry point emphasized by a hedge of some sort. And so there's going to be a gate, but not a heavy, ornate fence or anything like that.
I just have a couple questions. On the living room, dining room, and kitchen and family room, that entire wall down there,
yes,
it's looking those are actually just windows. There's no door there. I mean, it sort of looks like they're doors, but is it, you're drawing them as windows. I'm just wondering what your intent was. Is it
along the facade?
Yeah.
Can you point out on the plan which area?
Are these actually doors or windows?
Those are storefront, fixed storefront systems.
Storefront, so they're not doors.
Correct.
They're not doors. Okay. I wasn't sure.
It's going to be a raised floor system, a raised floor foundation system, and so there's going to be a little bit difference between grade and the interior of the home. So if we have operable windows, we would have to put steps, and it's already so narrow on that side over there, so we didn't want to get in the way of it.
I have no problem with that. I was just concerned. I had a question about the neighbor, and it's interesting the neighbor's here, if that's the neighbor, was the neighbor on that side. And just trying to understand the nature of that side yard. Sure. And if there's not doors there, it really is a viewpoint from both. So there's not really people congregating on that side there. So just an understanding of how the side would be used, because that was my concern, was the neighbor. So.
Correct. And that is the only view from this lot to the mountains. To any kind of a scenic view is from that easterly side. So we try to maximize the glazing as much as possible.
Okay, that's fine. I just wasn't clear. It appeared like it might be doors.
We are proposing a wood fence along the easterly property line to, of course, separate this house from the neighbors. And that's going to go right on top of the retaining wall that's situated along the property line.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, as I mentioned, I have to leave at 7, and I didn't think we were going to be talking so much about this beautiful project. So I don't know if I can put my
just
vote in.
Put your vote in.
And if I'm not here,
are you for it or against it?
I'm for the project,
okay,
100%. So
there's a neighbor that needs to speak, so I don't want to.
So,
there's a neighbor needs to speak.
So I need to leave, but if you
your intent is noted.
Comments.
Okay, and it's an amazing project. I think I congratulate you. Sorry, I have to leave, but
Mr. Malaki.
And so if my vote can count, then
it can't.
We have to have a public hearing.
This is not the LA City Council.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And not diminishing anything, Miss Susan Padilla. Can you state your name and address?
Susan Padilla, 1568 Sheridan Road. I wish he weren't leaving, because maybe he would have a different point of view. I'm a very private person, so please excuse me if I actually read. Die here. Question, may I mention the neighbor's name, or do I have to say owner? Okay. Everybody's talking about owners and secret. Thank you. My intention is not to alienate both Design Review Board 1 and 2 in the same moment, but I might. Okay. We appreciate the Sarkeesians' desire to live in the Chevy Chase Canyon, a tranquil, green, friendly, and private community. We compassionately understand that they have had unforeseen and probably unfathomable financial expenses, possibly caused by ignorance and or misguidance, and need to move forward. However, the proposed plan is not appropriate for this site as it ignores the fact that number 1564 is a 14,720 square foot flag lot that in its entirety overlooks our much smaller 9,060 square foot lot. We are the neighbors on what they call the easterly side. It's kind of like this concept may have been appropriately designed for a site up on a butte overlooking the Chevy Chase Canyon or the golf course, but not a flag lot toenailed to what until now has been our private backyard. Looking at that picture up there where you see that beautiful fence, well, stick our house right there in that hole in the bottom left-hand corner. And imagine it that way, please. You can appreciate it in there. We are that home. Okay, thank you very much, Billy. The plans that the Sarkeesians presented before Design Review Board number 1 consisted of a 5,028 square foot home in the identical footprint as the previous 1,857 square foot home, approximately 700 square feet larger. As a neighbor, it was an acceptable proposal, and any family would be extremely comfortable in a home that size. The previous owners, before the Sarkeesians bought the property, raised 5 children there and had 6 adults living there in 38% less floor space before selling to the Sarkeesian. We question why the same small family, but with a new architect, the Sarkeesians now feel compelled to enlarge the construction 61% to 2,950 square feet, moving the entire design much closer to their easterly property line towards their closest neighbor, us. Their plan states that the home's mass will not be any more visible to neighbors. We beg to differ. Our lot is approximately 6 feet below theirs. Our only public area, the entire living room, dining room, is a wall of glass doors facing 1564. We do not have a separate den, family room, or office to retreat to. The distance from our back roof line to the block retaining wall is a mere 3 to 6 feet. This is a far cry from the open expanses visually suggested in the pictorial proposal. The homes in our Chevy Chase neighborhood were built in the mid-50s. In 2008, the Sarkeesians bought 1564 from a family who had lived there for 40-plus years. We live in 1568. In 54 years, our family is only the 3rd family to live here. We bought our home in 2000, exactly 10 years ago, earlier this month. Would you like my daughter to continue if my time is up?
Go ahead.
This project is, as proposed, if allowed as is, beautiful, will reduce us to the equivalent of living in a fishbowl, which will negatively impact both our current quality of life as well as any resale value. Who would want to play in a backyard or buy a home which has been forced into being the center stage for the 1564 audience? Just because it is invisible from the street, which it is, it doesn't mean it's not there. It reminds us of the crowded neighborhoods of Eagle Rock, Silver Lake, Echo Park, setting a precedence of constant expansion, as my son brought up. And he also mentioned it was a fire hazard because of the eucalyptus, it could be, the eucalyptus trees on their property, that it coming closer to us, it was a fire hazard. That was his P.S. Let me go back. When the Sarkeesians went before and were subsequently turned down by the Design Review Board number 1, they were told to, in effect, find an architect who had a lot of experience in Glendale, one who knew how to work with the Design Review Board. Our future neighbors had to look no further than the members of that panel sitting before them back in July. I don't mention this. We're all very familiar that there is friendliness here, and that is not my purpose of mentioning it. I mention it because, as a member of Design Review Board number 1, Mr. Simonian, their chosen architect, surely must be quite familiar with the physical, aesthetic, and legal aspects of hillside construction, design, and living. We insist that the Sarkeesian's project should not negate our own rights, strengthened over the past 10 years. When the original owners of 1564, following the customary practice for hillside living, erected the 5-foot wall at the edge of the flat area of the easterly boundary of their property more than 50 years ago, they and the owners after them turned a blind eye to part of their property, which in effect gave the residents of 1568 some privacy as well as the sole responsibility to maintain the wedge of land between the two walls. We found it amusing that when, before Design Review Board Number 1, the Sarkeesian showed the area as irrigated and planted, and they intelligently planned to leave it alone, whereas now it is shown as dirt, therefore worthy of being incorporated into their project. For the record, it is covered in healthy ivy and oleander, which we take care of. We respectively request that, 1, rather than the proposed open fencing, now turned into a wood fencing, the Sarkeesians remove their current unstable block wall and reconstruct a properly anchored 5'6" high solid wall, or fence wall is fine, in the identical place in order to respect our prescriptive easement. 2, they scale back the plan and recede away from their easterly boundary. 3, they either leave or reincorporate dense planting along the entire perimeter of our property to maintain physical, aesthetic, visual, sound buffers. 4, they ensure construction does not weaken or put undue strain on the entire retaining wall along our property line, and if it does, to assume all financial responsibility. 5, they properly and proactively address the traffic, parking, noise, and safety nuisances associated to construction projects of this magnitude. And finally, 6, they take special care not to endanger the protected sycamore and oak trees on our property boundary. Reference to the oak tree has been blatantly omitted from the documentation. Thank you for your attention and consideration. And these are oak leaves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask you a question? Actually, where is that oak tree that you're referring to? You can come up to the board and show us. And then also that retaining wall that you're mentioning is this the retaining wall?
Dash line.
You're talking about this, you want them to put a wall along this line.
But
You want to put this
currently,
back.
that there, where the dashed line, that wall is in very poor disrepair because of that ash tree that's right there at the crux.
Right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to be.
You can come up.
We can come up here.
See.
Come up.
I just want to make sure we're clear.
Actually, you're going to need to come up for the microphone if you don't mind.
Sorry. I just want to make sure we're clear on all of your concerns.
Where's the sycamore? Where's the sycamore?
So this is the ash tree.
Let me orient myself. The sycamore is here. I can show you better from my house. I'm sorry. Where's my house? The oak tree is not there, right?
Okay.
If they bothered to show the sycamore, they should have shown the oak tree because it is on that same strip of land. I don't recall if they have more oak trees back there. I'm not here to stick a wicket or anything. And then you said what? Oh, so this is our main concern, as they want to take this wall down, which is a good idea, but they also want to put their new fencing along this wall, is what I understood. That's yes, they want to take back this area.
The whole issue about the precipitous easement is outside of our purview, so there's nothing we could direct them to grant you an easement. We don't have that.
I understand that. It's just the part of, they brought it up as part of the design, so that's why what we wanted to make the concern is, and that they came this away when they do have this whole huge mountain.
Okay, thank you very much. Aren't you on a rebuttal?
And if you wanted to see the wall from our side,
Sure, please.
that's when we bought the home 10 years ago.
We keep these if you leave them, so can we leave that?
No. I can leave
Yeah?
that.
Okay.
I can leave that.
Anything you give us, we have to keep. So we have to keep.
Excuse me?
Anything you give us, we have to keep.
I'll give you my speech.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Would you like that, please?
Got plenty of leaves at the house. Okay. Rebuttals, how many minutes? What are you talking about? 2 minutes? Okay.
Just wanted to shed some light and also give some feedback on some of the comments. We're proposing a wood fence along the property line, but we're certainly amenable to other suggestions, and we could work with the neighbor to our east to come up with some sort of a suitable idea. We did have a neighborhood meeting. The owner did post some signs. The neighbor to the west showed up. The neighbor immediately to their east showed up, which is 2 properties down, and a neighbor across the street was consulted on a Saturday. We had some donuts and some coffee. This individual did not show up, however. Maybe she was out of town or whatnot, but would love to have heard these comments back then. We did get in touch with the Chevy Chase Estates Association, told them about the project, and they said to have a meeting, which we did. As far as the oak tree along the driveway, that portion of the driveway is not going to get touched. We, in fact, have a landscape buffer on both sides of the driveway, so that oak is going to stay, and nothing is going to impact it. As far as tree maintenance, we'll do everything per city requirements as is required. And as far as scaling back the property or the building, that is something I think that I could shed some light on. Both these sites are very unique. You know, we have this odd-shaped flag lot, and then their lot, the neighbor to the east, is very odd as well. When they had purchased that house, it was obvious that they had this home, this property, directly next to them. Are we projecting all that much farther than what the existing home is? No. Could we go farther west, along up the hillside? No. Could we go farther south to where the pool is? No. Could we go farther towards the street? No, we're going to have issues with cars backing out. So we have 2 choices. One is to have a 2-story house, which would have negatively impacted the neighbor to the east that much more, or to have come up with a very low-slung gable roof along the property line, which is what I did. And the idea was to have about the same roof line as the existing home does. So if you look at the existing elevation and you look at the new elevation, the gable along that property line is about the same height.
Try and wrap up.
Those are my comments. We've really...
I just wanted to clarify one thing, because I had just a question on that same side. That's why I was asking about the doors and the windows, because I think and I'm glad that they were here, so at least we understood their concerns. Is your intent actually to do a very short wood wall, or actually do a retaining wall with like a 6-foot wood wall? I mean, is that true? Is your perspective actually what you're doing, a very low wood wall on top of the retaining wall? What's the intent?
The intent is to have neighbors get along with one another. So
would you be open to a 6-foot wall? Is a 6-foot wall a problem?
It is not a big issue with us, because as far as the proposed project is concerned, it has a flat pad, and then right where that dash line is, where that retaining wall is, it starts sloping down to the retaining wall along the property line. So if we were to put a higher wall there, it doesn't bother or kill the views at all. And if we were supposed to landscape it predominantly with lush landscaping, that is something we could do as well, is we could really landscape along that eastern property line.
Just so we're clear, are there going to be 2 retaining walls? There's one on the property line and the one internal?
The internal one is leaning.
So you are going to remove that?
It's going to be removed.
Okay. So ultimately, on that slope, there will be 1 retaining wall on the property line?
On the property line, which is existing.
Okay.
And so we are going to add some
that
sort
is
of...
Existing. That is existing?
Yes, that's existing.
That's this wall.
I thought that was the one that was failing. That's not...
Failing.
No, the second one is
May I
failing.
approach...
Yeah, please, just
to clarify that.
Because this is, for me, it's
The
the only...
second one is leaning. It's taking
On
the
the dash,
second
isn't
retaining
there
wall.
So you already have a retaining wall on the property line now?
There's an existing retaining wall...
On the property line?
On the property line, which is going to remain. This retaining wall to be demolished is currently leaning and has no structural value whatsoever. We are going to remove this wall, and then so therefore the landscaping is going to just slope down.
It's one slope down to the existing wall. No change in finish grade on existing retaining wall?
None.
Okay. You have a problem with a 6-foot wall on top of the existing retaining wall?
Not at all.
I have a question. Because this looks like it's
Like
straight.
a wood wall on top of the retaining wall.
Small wall, and then it slopes down. So I was assuming that this wall is this wall.
I think it's from one side.
No,
And then that one's
this
below.
wall.
It's, the fence height is from the high side of the wall, right?
And
Correct.
this area is going to slope down? to
Correct.
that?
Let's have one-
It's flat. If you look at the topography.
I'll ask my question. I was.
Where's the survey? I'm not sure.
Oh, here we go. No, that's not survey.
That's not it.
But you have half the survey.
For example, the top of wall is 97.5, and the spot elevations are here at 99. So it slopes down gradually.
Just a couple feet.
I don't think so.
And that's going to stay as is, and our, pad around the building is identical to where it is today.
Say the 6-foot wall on top of the retaining wall, and then down below, you're not even seeing the building. You're not even seeing the building.
So then actually this wall in her photo is the property line wall?
Correct.
And then that wall that's growing up against is
Right.
one that's failing.
Correct.
So that's what's going to go away, and we're just
Correct.
going to end up with this one with
If they're
a...
both failing, I want to get technical, because of that same
I'm actually going to have you come up one more time quickly.
It's adequate. And then this one you're saying is definitely going to come out, and then you're going to put your wood fence on top of this wall.
Correct.
Okay.
How high is the wood fence?
Well, I just threw that out there. I just threw that out there.
We could work with the neighbor to try to come up with some sort of a...
Could you come up for 1 second? Art, give me one more. I think this is the only issue for me, so please solve it. Yes, you say your name and address again.
1568 Sheridan Road.
Okay, there is an option, one option is to put a wood retaining wall on top of the, a wood fence on top of the retaining wall at the property line, which means you would then have essentially a 12-foot wall at that point. That is one of your
I don't know
options.
if it's allowed. Is it allowed?
From the high side, isn't it from high side?
Actually,
I don't necessarily, I personally do.
On top
No,
of
no.
atop
Right.
the existing retaining
Which is not my preference, but I'm merely explaining options to a neighbor.
Right.
Because this is really the only issue for me, and I had the question before. Let me just finish this. You have the option, you could have a wall like that, which I think is more onerous to you, but it would completely hide the building completely. Or it could be landscaped to some portion, where the wall would stay the same as it was, with some type of, they'd have to have some amount of fence so people didn't fall off. There would have to be some fence.
As I stated before, it's not that we, on the bottom retaining wall, because anything they put on the bottom retaining, it would have to be 15 feet.
Well, 6 foot high, you would not see the building.
Because it is
In reality,
quite-
this view is not protected, okay? The view that you're worried about is not protected. So I'm just throwing the option out for discussion.
I don't know why it's not protected.
We don't have the authority to protect that view. We don't have that authority. So, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Just wanted to explore that one aspect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I think it would be onerous to have the fence there, but I threw it out there just for discussion, so.
They have the choice. You guys work it out.
I'll be glad to stick around afterwards and speak to them, at least get their thoughts, and try to go back to the ownership. And
In reality, you would need to put
Best
something on top of the wall as a guardrail, if nothing else. So there's going to be some structure that's going to go 42 inches. So, and then beyond that is a discussion. And you're open to going as high as 6. You're open
high
to
as you
that.
want.
Yeah. Well,
Again, this-
I would limit it to 6, only,
In this case, because the design review board is
Have to
also
specify?
charged at taking a look at walls, if it's part of the project proposal, it would behoove you to, if you have a strong inclination to either have a retaining, to replace a retaining wall or to put a freeboard, it would essentially be 6 foot of freeboard wall atop the existing retaining wall, to actually.
he's going to need to do something at 42 inches, just so people don't fall off. So something is going to happen at 42
Once
inches.
we limit it at 4, if we have
I think the limit at 42 would be
42
good.
inches,
I think
and
it'd be
then
good.
they have the choice to...
And forgive me, Chairman Garagos, where would this 42-inch
On the
On top of the
line.
property
on the
the
property
existing.
line? Okay, yeah.
Property line retaining
on
wall.
top
Okay.
of the existing wall.
That's what I would propose, and see if you guys.
It kind of goes back to last week's, deck question of, just because you can do it, do you really want to, make your neighbors unhappy by doing the most you can do. You know, like just saying 42 is the minimum, so we'll just do 42. If the neighbor says, well, that ruins my entire backyard, and you're going to work with the neighbors, then they can do a different height. So we're saying we're not going to impose that it has to be 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. We're saying it sounds like both the applicant and the neighbor are willing to work together, and we'll just go with the minimum, which is for our safety, and then let them work out the exact height.
Okay. Does the board feel strongly whether it would be a block wall or a wood fence, or in terms of materials?
It should be solid. I don't think it matters what material.
Okay.
And actually, since it's down the slope, I personally, if it had a 18-inch offset from the wall, so it wasn't actually stacked on the wall, and I don't think that would be onerous.
Because we could have landscaping between the retaining wall and this 18-inch offset, which again would be more appealing than just a straight
up.
Something could grow down the wall.
And then we could put some landscaping behind it as well.
Absolutely. I think it would be a very good solution. And you're not going to see the building at that point. Your sight line will not.
I think I would love to see the building. I mean, it's a beautiful building.
Well, but you don't want somebody to walk out their building and stand there and look into your backyard. So I can see the point of having a taller fence there.
Let's wrap this up. Somebody needs to make a motion.
The only question I had a concern about the planting plan, because since you included it and you're so nice to do that, a lot of the selections and spacing were odd to me. And I don't know if you're going to stick to this, because obviously when you submit something, we assume that you're going to do it. You address the driveway and put plants along there. I went to look at the site. It seems to me that you can just leave it the way it is and just kind of augment with existing materials, because it is established. It has some nice aloes, agaves. You have tall oleander. There's really no need to add these little plants here and there that kind of, I don't think they're even going to survive, because they're so far apart and they're so different from each other, and it doesn't really add to the character that you're trying to achieve. And then when you get into the more naturalistic and wild aspect of it, you're just going to be plugging stuff in. So I think that works well. Where you have planting along the house, I would just recommend you add more of it so that the spacing isn't so far spaced, far apart. You don't have any gaps, especially with your grasses, your heavenly bamboo. I think what the rendering shows, this nice kind of simplistic, lush landscape. That works for me, and I think that planting plan should reflect this image of where we all want to live here, So I don't get too fussy with the planting, and kind of stick with less. Less is more. Less is more, but hack them in tighter. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Noted. We'll update the drawing for the landscaping, getting rid of the new plants along the driveway and keeping the existing. And we will look more closely at perhaps having more of a lush concept in the rear, and perhaps less is more is a better concept for the areas around the home.
I'm sorry, I guess for my own clarification.
You can go sit down.
For my own clarification, sure. When you say less is more, I heard that you wanted more planting with less spacing around the home. Am I not correct?
Less spacing, less variety.
Right,
more plants.
More plants.
Right.
It's not so less is more, meaning
more different kinds of plants. More,
but not more plants.
For instance, they have S10, which is the deer grass in the front. They have two, and I'm assuming that because of the door, the dimension of the door is about 3 feet. This is about 4-8 feet apart. They really want to be.
These will be conditions.
4 feet circles. So you want to just kind of make it all grass around there, and not put something else in between. You just want to do more plants of the same kind.
More of the proposed plants, except more of those proposed plants with less spacing in between those. Correct. So it'd be increase the quantity.
Well, yeah.
Are they grouping them?
Grouping them. Just
clustering them.
Okay.
I could go specifically, but I think that
Okay.
And then also just to kind of achieve the rendering that we already have, just a real simplistic look. You don't want to keep adding more plants to the palette.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
With conditions?
With conditions?
Conditions, we have the one condition for the fence.
It would be the condition, provide a 42-inch high wall, minimum 42-inch high wall. They can go higher.
Setback.
Setback 18, consider it with an 18-inch offset with landscaping between the two. And then obviously the comments made regarding the landscaping. So maintain the existing plantings along the driveway, provide more plantings of the same type and species around the home with less spacing in terms of the grouping. So not introduce additional.
They should probably also show the oak tree, like the neighbor was mentioning on the plan.
Okay.
Because it is protected species.
Yeah, because it'll have to be done by urban foresters.
Correct. We'll make sure that-
Recommendations. So.
And if they have any others on the site, which I don't know, they should also be located.
Okay. All right, so with those two items, I have a motion for approve with condition made by Board Member Baladian. Is there a second?
A second.
Board Member Sakai, in terms of a roll call, Board Member Baladian,
Yes.
Board Member Sakai,
Yes.
and Chairman Garagos.
Yes.
The motion passes 3-0.
Okay.
And with that, we go to approval of minutes. And let's see.
Everybody review these? Want to take a peek?
Those would be the minutes.
Can't approve because I wasn't there.
Forgive me?
I was absent for that meeting.
Yeah, actually, we can
Thank you.
We have to postpone it, I guess.
we can only do April 8th. I think.
Oh.
April
I didn't get it.
Huh?
Like,
Might have been a long time ago. Take a peek at it.
I got it. Maybe they were not together. I just have the 20.
You want to take a look at it quickly?
Yeah, those would be the April 8th ones
Yeah.
that were just finalized. And so
She's reviewing
April
it.
8th? Yes,
I didn't
everyone
get
was
it.
here on April 8th.
I didn't get a copy, so I have to review it now.
Yeah, of course.
Take a peek at it.
Okay.
I have a comment on the Heather Ridge Drive deck. It says that we all said yes. You and I said no, right?
No, yeah, there's two abstains.
There's two no's on
There's two no's on it.
the vote.
A rare.
This is for item number 2 on
Item-
page 3.
Yes.
And it shows that everyone said yes.
It's 3-2, wasn't
It
it?
was 3-2.
3-2. Okay, so what we can do, since actually that Roger Kiesel was your staff person, and since I'm not sure of what this particular one, would you like to go ahead and just continue
Yeah,
the
we'll
matter?
consider it. We'll consider this.
Perhaps you can just go ahead and continue,
Yep.
and we'll question that as well.
Okay, are there any other staff or board business?
There are no other staff reports. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:30?
Yes.
Yes,
Bingo.
thank you.